not all vintage is worth sourcing. Just because something is old does not mean it's valuable. Well, hey, my name is LeeMeier and I've made well over $100,000 flipping used clothes online. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how I decide if vintage is worth buying. Stick around if you wanna learn how to source profitable pieces that actually move. Coming up, welcome to the Empowered Reseller, where you gotta just list it. Before I ever pull out my phone and start looking up comps, there's a few things that I always check first. This is what I call triage. I'm asking, is it well made? Does it feel high quality? Is the material thick or heavyweight? Is it made of a natural fiber? Is it union made? These things matter because they usually point to quality, and quality points to a higher resale value. And then there's the big one. I'm asking, is it unique? Sometimes something just jumps out at you. The cut, the fabric, the print, the overall vibe. This is what I call the it factor or the X factor. Whatever you call it, it has that special little something that tells me, okay, this is worth a closer look. This is a really good example of an item that has that it factor going on. This is a vintage coat that has a unique look to it, unique color scheme, unique texture to that fabric. And this one sold for the full price that you're seeing there of $250. And I did verify this using eBay's research tool Terapeak, because not all of the time the prices that are shown there are accurate. So you do need to verify, and I have a video that'll walk you through how to do that. But because this item had that little special something about it, that it factor, that X factor, it sold for as much as it did. During this triage stage, if something doesn't pass that initial screen, I never even bother to go and look up comps. Now, a lot of resellers get stuck on condition. Now, condition matters, but it's not the starting point. The most important question isn't, is the condition good? The most important question that you can ask when sourcing is this: is the demand there? If the demand is there, you have a lot more flexibility with the condition of the item. If the demand is weak, then the condition needs to be that much stronger in order to make sense. For example, this is a coat with a really strong demand because of the age of the item. Because of that, it doesn't really matter if there's flaws present. For example, this has staining down both of the sleeves. It has heavy wear on the material, but because the demand is there, this sold for $300 on best offer. On the flip side, this is an example of an item with weaker demand. This is a cardigan sweater from the brand Jaclyn Smith. It's a very low value brand that was sold at Kmart and Sears. Most items aren't selling for much over $10 or $20. Condition has to be excellent. And frankly, there's gotta be other reasons that people want this. For example, with this one, it has that really awesome geometric pattern and color scheme. And because of that, it went for $52 full asking price. So it's not to say that items are less in demand, can't be profitable. They just have to have other things going on. They have to be in excellent condition, have a style that people are after, be a size that's in demand. Remember, condition by itself does not create value. Let me say that again. Condition does not create value. Demand does. This is where a lot of resellers walk away too fast. Vintage is supposed to look worn. It's gonna have things like fading, pilling, wash wear, broken in fabric, screen printing that's cracked. Those are often expected with vintage, and they don't necessarily hurt the value. Now, that does not mean that all flaws are fine. The context matters. There's lots of vintage pieces that look really rough that sell for a lot of money. It's not because they're perfect, but it's because they're the right item. This is where examples really help. And once you see these flawed items selling for strong prices, this is going to entirely change the way that you source. Now this is a pair of Jinko jeans. They've been cut off to more of a short length, but they were not made that way. And there's all kinds of writing all over these. I'm actually going to be blurring this out because this is a family-friendly channel. But these are destroyed and they sold full price for $195 in this condition. It's because that item, that look, that brand is in high demand. Another example here, a pair of Carhartt jeans. These have got all kinds of stains on them, holes on them. They still sold in that condition for $48 after a best offer. And if you come across this kind of condition for Carhartt jackets and overalls, they're going to sell for substantially more. But it's not just Carhartt jackets that are selling in this kind of condition. This is a no-name brand, totally sun-faded, wear around the neck of this jacket, Boeing logo there on the front, and it went for $40 after a best offer. The real question isn't, does this have flaws? Is the demand strong enough that the buyer won't care? Or better yet, are those flaws what they're after in the first place? Let's clear up a few big myths. First, you do not need to find the exact same item when you're looking up comps and in order to justify sourcing vintage. You don't need a perfect match. What you're looking for is similar items that are selling. Same category, same aesthetic, same type of piece, same decade. If you're seeing other similar sales, that's usually enough to tell you there's demand. Let's say, for example, I come across a vintage sweatshirt that has cats bowling on it. Yes, that's a true story, and yes, that did sell. But there were not any other comps, at least of the exact same item. But as long as I'm seeing similar items, sweatshirts with a similar aesthetic, similar color scheme, similar themes, I can make a pretty good bet it's gonna sell. Second myth. Brand recognition is not required for vintage. You do not have to have good brands in order to profit from vintage. Why? Because a lot of vintage sells where nobody is searching for the brand name. People are searching the look, not the label. This is a cat sweater from the 1980s in what is called a kawaii style. It's got those soft pastels going on. Note the keywords here: coquette, fairy, kawaii. The brand? Rose. I can guarantee you that nobody is after this brand, yet it sold for $120 on best offer. Another style that buyers are really after right now, where the brand hardly matters at all, is the aesthetic whimsy goth. This is a dress with bell sleeves with the keywords fairy, grunge, whimsy goth. This is not a brand people are going after. They're going after the style. And because of that, this no-name brand sold for 50 bucks. Another example, this is a brand that you've probably never heard of before and one that a lot of people are not searching for. But because of the color blocking, the color scheme of this item, and people are after these types of ski coats. This one sold for $85 best offer. And you have to be able to describe the items, just like all of these examples. That's where keywords come in. And if you ever have a hard time describing an item, that's where my keywords that sell posters come in. These give you proven keywords that buyers are searching and buying. VIPs inside of the Empowered Reseller membership program get my entire keywords that sell system for free. And if you're not quite ready for that, I do have a free keywords list that'll help you get started. Everything is linked below. All right, back to sourcing. Now here are the real signs to walk away. If you can't explain why someone would search for it, that's a huge red flag. It needs some kind of hook, a unique feature, a strong aesthetic, a clear identity. If you can't picture the buyer, it's probably a pass. Walking away is not a mistake. It's part of sourcing well. It's okay to walk away. Now let's talk about some traps. The first one It's old, so it must be valuable. That is not true. Old does not equal demand. You still need to check what's actually selling. Another trap, but I already bought it. Just because you sourced something does not mean that you're required to follow through and get it listed. Some things are just not worth your time if you know that they're never going to sell. Then there's, but someone would want this. The better question is someone searching for this. And nostalgia sourcing, just because you remember it, just because it reminds you of growing up, does not mean that buyers care. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. But the truth is, opinion does not determine value. The buyer and the demand does. Before I source vintage, I run through this checklist. First, would I be excited to photograph this? If you're not excited to list it, it's probably gonna sit. Hey, I'm just being real here. Second, can you describe it clearly in one sentence? Style, decade, feature, function. If you can't explain it clearly, buyers aren't gonna understand it or find it either. Third, is there proven demand? It doesn't have to be the exact same item, but do you see similar items selling? Fourth, does the profit justify the effort? This is a business and your time matters. And fifth, am I okay if this item takes a little while to sell? That's the reality of some vintage, that some items can take a little while for the right buyer to come along. If you're okay with that, then it's usually a green light. Vintage wear sourcing is not about age or condition. It's about demand, uniqueness, and style. Better sourcing makes listing easier, and easier listings make more profit. Now that you know how to decide if vintage is worth sourcing, you might be wondering if there are certain brands that are always solid winners. If that's you, click or tap the screen to watch the next video where I show you some of the best vintage brands to sell. Click here and I'll see you there.